FIA president says F1 does not need Verstappen, the most shocking statement of 2026. 99. Yo, what is up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I need to talk about a statement that dropped this morning, and honestly, when I first read it, I had to read it 3 times. I could not believe that someone in an official position of power in Formula One had said this out loud. The FIA president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, has suggested that Formula One does not need Max Verstappen. I will let that sink in for a second. The president of the governing body of motorsport, the man who runs the FIA, the organization that oversees Formula One at the highest level, has looked at everything happening with Max this season. The retirement hints, the contract exit clause, the sabbatical talk, the sleepless nights warnings, the engineer exodus at Red Bull, the 4-time world champion dragging himself out of bed to keep racing, and said, we do not need him. Not we hope he stays. Not we are doing everything to keep the greatest driver of his generation in the sport. Not losing Verstappen would be a catastrophe. But we do not need him. Nay, I have covered Formula One on this channel for a long time. I cannot remember a senior official saying something so tone-deaf and provocative about the sport's biggest active star at the exact moment he is most vulnerable to walking away. This is the most shocking official statement of the 2026 season. Let's break down why it matters, why it is wrong, why it might be calculated, and what it tells us about the power struggle inside Formula One right now. Let me start with the most basic question. Is Mohammed Ben Sulayem actually right? Does Formula One not need Max Verstappen? On a purely logical level, yes, the sport existed before him and will exist after him. F1 survived losing Schumacher to retirement. It survived losing Senna to tragedy. It survived the end of every dominant era. On a purely logical level, yes, the sport existed before him and will exist after him. F1 survived losing Schumacher to retirement. It survived losing Senna to tragedy. It survived the end of every dominant era. On a purely logical level, yes, the sport existed before him and will exist after him. F1 survived losing Schumacher to retirement. It survived losing Senna to tragedy. It survived the end of every dominant era. The sport is bigger than any one driver. Always has been. Always will be. The sport is bigger than any one driver. Always has been. Always will be. The sport is bigger than any one driver. Always has been. Always will be. The sport is bigger than any one driver. Always has been. Always will be. So in the strictest definition of need, no, Formula One does not need Verstappen. It will continue. Races will happen. Points will be scored. A champion will be crowned. So in the strictest definition of need, no, Formula One does not need Verstappen. It will continue. Races will happen. Points will be scored. A champion will be crowned. The question is not whether F1 can physically continue without Verstappen. The question is what F1 looks like commercially, emotionally, narratively, culturally, without him. The question is not whether F1 can physically continue without Verstappen. The question is what F1 looks like commercially, emotionally, narratively, culturally, without him. Let me give you some numbers, because this is where the statement falls apart. Max Verstappen is the most searched driver in Formula One. Every week, every month. His Dutch fanbase, the Orange Army, travels in staggering numbers. In 2023, when he won 15 races, Dutch TV viewership per capita was among Europe's highest. And it is not just the Netherlands. Verstappen has fans in Japan, Brazil, Latin America, the United States. Every key market F1 is growing. When he produces a moment, Japan 2025, Interlagos 2016, Abu Dhabi 2021, it travels globally. Mark Webber said it perfectly this week. Liberty Media and the teams know the sport cannot afford to see Verstappen leave. Earlier this week, there were warnings about sleepless nights over a potential Verstappen exit. Sponsors, broadcasters, and promoters who rely on his draw. And the FIA president responds by saying, we do not need him. Now, some background on Mohammed Ben Sulayem. He became FIA president in December 2021, replacing John Todt. He is from Dubai, a former rally driver with 14 regional rally titles. He genuinely loves motorsport. But his background is very different from the global commercial machine Formula One has become under Liberty Media. His relationship with top F1 drivers has been complicated, the fallout from Abu Dhabi 2021, public clashes with Hamilton, a reputation for speaking before fully weighing political implications. This, we do not need Verstappen, feels like institutional pride over commercial reality. The message, no individual is bigger than the institution, defensible philosophically. Absolutely the wrong thing to say publicly right now. Because this is not an abstract debate. It is a live situation where a 4-time champion is actively considering leaving. with a contract exit window approaching and a support network departing. So, who benefits from this statement? In politics and sport, provocative words usually serve power. Ben Sulayem and Verstappen have clashed around rules and speech. Each critique of the 2026 regs, Mario Kart and more, challenged FIA authority. "We do not need him" can read like an assertion of institutional power over any one driver. A message to the entire grid. It is a risky play. The last thing F1 needs, with cancelled races, regulation controversies, viewership dips, and its biggest star flirting with retirement, is the FIA president picking a fight with Verstappen. And Verstappen does not back down. He is not racing to prove people wrong anymore. He races because he loves it. Right now, that love is running low. Here's the twist. 2026 has been exciting anyway. Kimi Antonelli making history. The Mercedes intra-team war. McLaren's comeback. Ferrari hunting wins. Despite headwinds, F1's commercial trajectory is still pointing up. The sport is deep with talent and storylines. But there is a difference between a sport being fine without a player and a sport being better with them. F1 without Verstappen is fine. It continues. But F1 with a fully engaged Verstappen at the front is the sport at its ceiling. The ceiling matters. It is what separates good from legendary. Great drivers do more than win. They create memories that last decades. Senna, Schumacher, Hamilton, and Verstappen in 2021. Max Verstappen is one of those drivers. Does F1 need him to survive? No. Does F1 need him to be everything it can be? Absolutely. Verstappen said recently, they know what to do. Better regulations, better racing, a car he can fight with. The right response should have been, "We hear you. We want you here." Instead, "We do not need you." If that is the last thing he hears before activating his exit clause, F1 will have nobody to blame but itself. Drop your take below. Was this calculated, careless, or just wrong? Does it make Verstappen more or less likely to stay? Subscribe and I will see you in the next one. Peace.